Should you upgrade to a 2025 Jeep Wrangler? Well, it's a little bit more tricky than you thought. Within the past few videos, we've been talking all about the 2025 Wrangler and the 2025 Gladiator. Now that the dust is settled, all of that has been kind of released and we've seen a ton on the back end, I figure it was time to sit down and have a conversation with you guys. I want to make this more conversational. It's like me and you just sitting there having a beer in the garage and chatting. We've had a ton of comments, a ton of DMs, a ton of people just chatting with us, even some old friends and relatives that have been commenting on our videos. Is it the right time for me to upgrade? The first opinion I wanted to give you before we jump into it, if you've got a 24 Wrangler like Ryan and I both do, unless there's a few caveats we'll go over, probably not the best time or a good reason to upgrade to a 2025. But we wanted to break this video down into a couple different segments, but talking about those guys that have maybe a JK, maybe an early JL, maybe a mid-cycle JL, a 22, a 23, if now is the right time to upgrade to a 2025. And then we'll go over at the end of this video what our plans are with the 2025 Jeeps. We did a poll on the YouTube just the other day, and we wanted to go over some of those results. So before we get started, what is new for a 2025 Jeep Wrangler? I mean, there wasn't a ton added to it. I'll be real with you guys. Last year we covered the same topic on the 24 Wranglers, which was a huge improvement. The new Uconnect 12.3-inch screen, side curtain airbags, full floating rear axle, power seats, a new grille, a lot of other things going on, and the interior kind of being refreshed. So there was a ton going on for the 2024 Jeep Wrangler, and that's why that was a good time to make that video. Now is kind of a lull. The 2025 is here, and the only real things that have been added to it so far are first and foremost the color choices. We've seen 41, we've seen Fathom Blue, we've seen the new Juice color, as well as a returning fan favorite, the Mojito. So 4 colors that are pretty badass. I'll be real with you guys, some cool colors on there. You still get the same Uconnect 12.3, side curtain airbags, the full floating axle depending on what trim you get, 24 grille. There's this new cabin air filtration thing that you can do on your app, which we haven't really seen too much about that. The 41 4xe trim. But really the biggest thing is probably the colors for the 2025 Jeep Wrangler. If you guys want to see more specifications on that, be sure to click our other Jeep news videos, or we'll link down below the JL Wrangler forums where you can view the whole PDF of what comes with every trim. First section though, let's talk about you JK and maybe older guys, JK, TJ, even YJ dudes. Now I'm not imagining guys that have either CJs, YJs, TJs are gonna be trading in those vehicles for a new JL, probably keeping them in the fleet, but just getting a new Wrangler. This is gonna be a pretty decent upgrade for you. Now, upgrade is a very subjective word. I'm not gonna say upgrade and add all this tech and add all this other stuff. If you guys say, I don't want any of that tech in my Jeep, you know, I'm just saying upgrade as far as you upgrade a house to a newer one, it could be a downgrade, whatever. For a JK guy, somebody that's been riding around in a JK for a good amount of years, you probably got the thing paid off, or you're in a later model JK, a 2017, a 2018, the biggest things you're gonna get out of this, biggest things, the refreshed interior with the wireless CarPlay and the side curtain airbags, and the refresh body style. I know that there's probably some other things, including that full float rear. You could still get a Dana 44 on a JK. The biggest things though are probably those interior upgrades for a JK person. The hard part for me, looking at myself being owned a few JKs, is that what I'm getting interior wise for the huge upgrade in cost, including wireless CarPlay, can now be done relatively easily. When I had a JK, it's when they were the freshest, hottest, newest things out. And you guys remember the touchscreens in those things were absolute garbage. Bloop, 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 bloop. Every time you touched them, they barely had color to them. Now you can add on an easier head unit, wireless CarPlay, a 7-inch, a bigger one, a whole screen, a corroborator dash that takes up the whole thing, and you're not gonna be at that level of cost that a JL is. So when I look at the JK guys, I think of first and foremost, how much do you have added to your JK? Is it completely modded out? Is it dialed in? You got suspension, wheels, tires, bumpers, winches, and going to a JL is just gonna be a fresh from start scratch for you? Or do you have kind of a stock JK where you've been looking for those creature comforts, for the upgrades on the interior, maybe looking to get a new Rubicon, and you want that on the interior and exterior of your vehicle. But for the JK guys, it depends on how old it is too. If you've got an 07, 08 JK, you still got that 3.8 out of the minivan, upgrading to the new JL, you kind of have 2 options. You can either get the 2-liter turbo with an automatic, or you can get the 3.6 with a manual. So not as many options out there for you, but the power plant is a huge upgrade. I would even argue that the 3.6 JKs in the later years, that 2-liter turbo is a fantastic upgrade for you. It's gonna get better fuel economy and be a lot more peppy low end. So those are kind of some pros for the JK guys. The biggest con, I would say, it depends on how modified your JK is. If you've got that thing really loaded up and you're looking to trade it in for a JL, you might be disappointed the first day you drive the JL. And I will say that because I've traded in and sold extremely modified JKs on newer Jeeps, like when I had long arms and all that other stuff and axle swaps done, and I got into a brand new JL, and yeah, I was like, yeah, this is neat, you know, look at the screen, look at the heated seats. But then I got outside and looked back at my Jeep and I was like, damn, I really miss my JK. That's a big factor for guys. You probably have a lot of years into it, a lot of memories, and a lot of cash. So be really thoughtful if you're getting a new JL and having to replace all that now. It's not as cheap as it used to be in the JK years. I would say all the JLs from 2018 to 2023, so before the facelift, is this upgrade worth it to you? This one is near and dear to me because the yellow grille behind me is of a 2022 Wrangler. I've owned a 2018, I had a 2020 Gladiator, so I've had, actually I had another 22, I had a diesel as well. I had, I think 4 JLs, between 4 JLs and a Gladiator 2 on top of it. That's where the tricky conversation is gonna be had. So 2018, guys, we're going on 7 model years ago. I mean, that's crazy for me to think because I remember like it was yesterday that the JL came out. So for the early model JL guys, all the way through to the facelift, this is where the real conversation is hard. I think it's really hard for me because you had so many more options for these early model JLs. And let me go into it a little bit more. So in 2022, when I ordered my Jeep, when I ordered my high velocity, I got a Rubicon, Extreme Recon, dual top group, paint match fenders, cold weather group, LEDs. I could option it out exactly how I wanted. And my God, it's hard to say. I think I paid like $48, $49 for it after discount. And that was with a ton of options. The coolest thing though, I had 4 different engines I could pick from. A 2-liter turbo, a 3.6 auto, a diesel, as well as a 392. I could dial that Jeep in exactly the way I wanted. I could test drive what I wanted. The interest rates were really good and I could get it the way that I wanted it. You know, the exact engine, the exact trim, all that fun stuff. And I think for a lot of you guys from 2018 to 2023, that was the case. If you guys ordered your Jeep or picked it up from a lot, you didn't have to face all those struggles of finding a lot that had one Jeep or you had to order and wait 8 months. You could get exactly what you wanted. If you guys have owned those Jeeps since the beginning, you dumped a lot into them, that's a hard upgrade to a 2025 right now. There's a lot of 24 and 23 leftovers that can be had for some insane deals, especially through Dan Cummins down south, that it might make it worth it to pick up a 24 because if you don't care about the colors, you're getting everything out of that new body style, but not paying or having to wait for a 2025. The other thing I would let you guys know, if you have more of a stock Jeep, so a 2018 through 23 that's not really been modified, it's not gonna be as hard of an upgrade for you because you're not losing all that value on the mods and the parts. And the other thing, if you guys have a 2018 to 2023, you can upgrade pretty smoothly to a 24. All these grills behind me here are because we've upgraded to 2024 grills through distinction applied. So you guys can upgrade the exterior. And then Ryan, I will have you pull up a clip of this because Corroborator, I'll mention them again, they came out with a full digital dash. Even the center cluster is digital for the JL and the whole screen. That's an insane upgrade. So if you're looking for that wireless CarPlay, the digital, the bigger screen, that's a way for you to get it in your current Jeep without having to spend or trade in and buy into a new vehicle. So as we close out the kind of JL model year that we're talking about, the biggest things that I would look at, if you're an early JL, you're gonna start your warranty fresh too again. So starting that warranty fresh, the bumper to bumper, as well as the powertrain, all those goodies. And if you want those new colors on the 2025, now's a great time to upgrade. But with that comes the caveat of having a car payment if you need to make payments on it or changing some things up a little bit. The last thing I wanted to talk about though is if you're just curious about a Jeep Wrangler. I know a lot of people that comment on our channel are either first-time Jeep owners or they haven't even bought a Jeep yet, but they're looking to gather all this information first. And my goodness, I'm sure the comment section can go wild with this about why not to buy one, why they're junk, why they corrode, why they're the worst thing ever. We've actually been called a few times fanboys of Jeep on this channel. No shit. Bleep that out, Ryan, but like I've owned 25 of these things. They corrode, they have issues, they're junk, they're this. They're my favorite vehicle. I don't care, you know? I gotta say that to you guys because although I'm not happy with the cost of them, I'm a Jeep owner for life. It doesn't matter. I know people are partial to if it's not a Ford, it's junk. If it's not a Chevy, it's junk. If it's not a Dodge, it's junk. Jeeps are a different breed. If your wife is trading in a brand new Cadillac Escalade for a 4-door Sahara, it's going to ride worse. It's not gonna be as comfortable. It's not as wide and it's not as big. It's just a different vehicle. So when you guys are looking at getting into a Wrangler, you got to realize it's a little bit of a cult following, but they have made it more mainstream lately. They've given you a lot more options: 20-inch wheels, painted fenders, Sky One Touch roof, heated seats, all this stuff to really try and bring it up to that luxury status. At the end of the day, it's still a solid axles, front and rear, body on frame design, and it is not a luxury vehicle. As much as Jeep keeps trying to say that it's a luxury vehicle, if you guys are looking for that demographic, probably stay away from it unless you want to take the top and doors off. Jeep is not that. I don't know, Ryan, I don't want to be mean to Jeep, but what do you, I mean, it's just not a luxury vehicle. I don't, because I think a lot of people are. They're coming from 70 to 80K SUVs, getting into a 70 to 80K Jeep. It's not, yeah. And I do think it's a lot of it is valid. A lot of you guys have some really valid concerns and points about Jeep. The one most recent fact I heard is that Jeep actually has enough inventory on their dealership lots to have 2 years worth of sold vehicles, and they could just stop producing right now. So obviously there's a lot of different turns in the way that they're selling, a different kind of buyer that's looking for it. And I'll be real with you, if you're looking for a 60 to 70K luxury SUV, which is pretty much what those price points are, it's not what you're looking for. You know, if you're a first-time Jeep buyer, I would say start with a Sport. Start with a Sport now in 2025 because you get power windows, power locks, and a key fob, unlike Ryan behind us who has to have crank windows and manual everything. That was probably the biggest caveat for folks. I mean, you're buying a vehicle of this level and you're not even getting those creature comforts. And the other thing is you're buying into a lifestyle and a community of like-minded individuals that have probably one of the biggest automotive communities in the world. I would argue it's amongst the top 5 there, and you can take your top and doors off. I think that people need to get back to the basics and start enjoying their Jeeps for what they are. And I know you guys give me crap for the level that my Jeep is at. If you saw it the other day with my emergency Smittybilt cover onto it, with 100 pounds of rain dripping into my cab, that got me back to the feeling of having a Jeep and using it for what it's for. I think that it's a different type of lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that if you're used to that basic SUV, something to get you back and forth to work and take the kids around and do this, that, and the other, you're gonna create memories with the Jeep and not with the standard SUV. So I think there's a big trade-off, and that's that emotional heartstring that Jeep pulls at for justifying the price. But I do think that the moment you take one for a test drive and can picture the top and doors off is when you're gonna be officially sold. So for those people looking at one, just think to yourself, am I okay with having more of a no frills, not a luxury vehicle for a pretty decent price to trade it for the top and doors off and that off-road experience that I would argue no other vehicle can compete with. And I know the Broncos, the Tacomas, the 4Runners, they're all out there, but the off-road experience of a Jeep Wrangler is something that you guys need to experience if you haven't been in one. And if you guys are new to off-roading, Onyx Off-Road, the sponsor of this video, is the best way to go out and explore confidently. Onyx Off-Road utilizes mapping systems, trail reports, and even trail difficulties so you can easily see the maps on your brand new Uconnect screen with wireless or wired CarPlay or Android Auto. As the leaves start to change and the foliage goes away, we'll be heading out to AOA and Roush Creek, both near to us, and using Onyx Off-Road as we navigate some brand new trails. If you're new to off-roading and want a great deal on Onyx Off-Road, be sure to use our discount code and help support your boys here at DRC. Someone looking from the outside in at this Jeep crazy community, I would say test drive one, rent one from Enterprise for the weekend and enjoy it, and then figure out if you're okay with living with those pain factors in exchange for this. So you can't have it all, but we wish we could. So that's gonna be my final thoughts on kind of those guys looking from the outside in if they should get a Wrangler. This video could be 10 times this length, Ryan, and there's not an answer for everything. And although we try and cover a lot, there's some comments that just say that, why didn't you cover this or touch on this or touch on that? And it's because the video would be 3 hours long. So maybe we'll have to try another podcast, which we recently did one. We'll leave that link down below in the description if you guys want to hear our story a little bit more, if you're new or existing to the channel. But I think that, you know, a 2025 Wrangler, I'm glad to see that they have came out with some new colors, some basic standard features that are available across the board, and it gets us kind of hyped up. We ran a poll on our YouTube community tab, which if you guys don't go on there, please do, because it really helps us out. We're talking about shows, talking about this, that, and the other. The highest color was by far 41. 41. We asked what color you guys would like to see. 41 was, I think, like last time I checked, like 40% of the votes at over 1,500 votes. A lot of votes on there, and it gets us thinking, what do we want to do for 25 and how do we want to build one? Because I think if the Gladiator comes out with a new engine, if something comes out that's new and we haven't seen before, we're gonna jump on it as long as it's price effective for us to get content out of. But ultimately, guys, the decision comes down to you. We are here as a guidebook to hopefully help give you some advice, give you some tips, some tricks, how to build these things and how to get the best deal possible. If you're looking for a new Wrangler at a great price, like I said, we always work with Dan Cummins. We'll leave a link down below for that as well. The 24s are gonna be a great deal for you right now. If you're looking to upgrade but not get into a 25, or if you want those colors on the 25, luckily the prices haven't changed too much from 24 to 25. But what I'd like you to do is drop a comment down below on whether you're gonna upgrade to a 25, you're gonna keep your current, what you have now. Let us know what you have and why you will or will not upgrade to a 25. I think we'd be really curious to read that. And I think a lot of guys down below read the comments as some great knowledge factors. But until next time, we are gonna close this one out. My name's Matt, Ryan's behind the camera, and we want you to get out there and earn yours.